A big thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this week's video. In this video, what I want to do is talk about how looking back through your catalogue from the year can actually improve your photography and your creative process going into the next year, into 2020.
Time goes by, yeah, you and I are running out, running out. Time goes by, I've changed my mind about you and I, you and I. So would you stay for a minute so I can be brave? Let me catch my breath. Now I can feel what I'm saying.
Morning everybody, fantastic to see you all again. So it's the end of the year. I hope everyone's had a fantastic holiday break, if you have had a break. And it's a time of year that I love looking back over my photos, and I find it actually a really good creative process to look back at my photos, take a bit of time to go through photos that I might have missed, and then try and select what I think is my portfolio, so my best of my best photos from that year. And usually I pick between 6 and 10 photos. Well, this year I've got 13 photos that I've picked, and I'm not going to go through them all. Some of them are on the wall here, and I've got 5 that I'm going to sit down and sort of talk you through, and how looking through your photos can really improve your ability to learn with photography. So what I like to do is print my photos. Sometimes I've done a photo book and printed my best maybe 20 or 30 photos in a photo book. But more often than not, I just print them out on my printer. You can send them off to get printed, and then you can actually look at your photos and have a better physical connection with your images, I think. So these are the ones that I'm not going to talk about in a bit more detail, but I'll quickly mention them. So there is this one here and this one here are light just because of the minimalism of them, and I think I've done a lot more minimalistic type images this year, and I want to do more of those in 2020. It's something that I'm really interested in, and I want to do a little bit of a project. I've spoken about having a project, how that's a good idea. I want to do more of that next year. So I've got those, and then this from the Faroe Islands. I was going to talk about, it's really one of my favourite images from 2020, but it sort of speaks for itself a little bit. It was just amazing conditions. Obviously this I spoke about a lot in my YouTube video, and a lot of these I've spoke about in YouTube videos, whereas the ones that I'm going to talk about I've not talked about quite as much. I think that when you see them printed and you live with them a little bit as well, you start to have a different connection with them. So really try and do that. Really try and print your photos if you can. It's just one of the best ways of enjoying your photography. Okay, the other thing I'd say is anybody that's bought a calendar this year, thanks ever so much. Lots of these photos are in the calendar, and obviously that was my favourite photos that fitted in that calendar format. So thanks ever so much if you did buy a calendar, and you can enjoy those photos. Okay, I'm going to sit down, we can go through these 5 photos, and I can give you some tips of how looking back through your catalogue can improve your photography. Okay, let's have a look at some of the photos that was extra special to me. And these aren't necessarily what I think are technically the best, or best composition. There's something that just meant something to me, and may have helped me improve my photography, or just capture something that's just super special that I hadn't sort of captured before. So the first one is this one here from the Faroe Islands, and as you can see, the mood of it is just really calming. It's this beautiful blue tones over it. I really like the blue tones, and then this sort of sea stack here out in the ocean just looked amazing. We had this super stunning light just come through, and what I like about this image is it's something that is a little bit different for me. So I tried in this image to combine, well I did combine 2 images, so it's a composite. One with a longer exposure for the sea and a shorter exposure for the sky, because I wanted to keep that detail. And yeah, it just meant something to me. It actually you know, tells a story of what I think the Faroes is like with changing weather coming through. You can see, you know, in the distance just some of those mountains, and I'm really, really pleased with it. What I would say as well is I've updated my prints on my website with Squarespace, and I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the video. And I've also got a competition in this video as well to win a print that I'll do of your own photo and an online one-to-one with me to review your portfolio of 2019. So make sure you stay to the end to find out more about that competition. Okay, so on to the next one. So this image, for anybody that bought it, thank you very much. It was the most popular of my thanks for 2019. Here it is printed in A2. I think the one that I did as part of the thanks for 2019 was A3, but it looks amazing printed. It's one of those images that I think just looks so much better printed than it does, you know, on the phone, on Instagram, or just online. But there's no light involved in this. It's a very flat, overcast day, middle of the day, but it still makes for quite a powerful composition. I really like the mood that it creates. Again, it's from the Faroe Islands, and I just like everything about it. It's just everything I love about photography. It's super simple. You know, it tells a story from the front all the way through to the back. Your eye just sort of rests really nicely on elements within the image. You know, there's things that you find out in the image that you didn't see before. You try and understand what's going on with some of the image, like, well, why is this white? You know, it's basically because there's been so many birds on the sea stack, but they're not there at the moment, so you sort of wonder a little bit about that. And then there's a little bit of movement in the water. So it all works really well as an image, and I'm really pleased with it. Okay, onto one that was right at the beginning of the year, which is this. And this just came out of nowhere. We arrived in this field. I was on a workshop. We arrived in this field and there was no snow. It was green. And then the snow just started coming down and coated these sheep. And then the sheep sort of came through into this part here, and the trees, which I've taken these trees in the background before, but these trees just looked amazing. And then it was just a case of getting the right exposure length just to get the snow just coming through. And I love this. It's a very painterly type image. You know, it almost looks like a painting, and I just think it again tells a story, and it creates that mood of changing weather, which I love. Yeah, it's just the beautiful Lake District, which you know, I grew up in and means a lot to me. So really like this image, and this is one that's in the calendar. A lot of these images are in my calendar. This is one that is in my calendar, but in portrait, because I think it works with portrait and landscape. Okay, on to the next one, which is this image here, which I spoke about in my video from Skye. And this is interesting because this is an image that just reminds me not to focus too much on what you originally went for. So you might have a plan, but it's good always to change that plan, because I'd gone there to try and get some foreground, to do a video on Elgol and the sea in the foreground, and in the background cooling mountains. But I walked around the headland, and then this scene greeted me. And this is with a long lens, and it was just a question of waiting for the right light to hit the mountains here. And it's all about light, this image. Unlike that other one where the flat light worked, this just wouldn't have worked with flat light. It needed that light to create that depth to the image, because I'm using a longer lens. I've not got a foreground, a midground and distance. So it's that depth created by the light which creates such a powerful image here. And this house just adds to everything. And I really love this image. Finally, I just want to talk about this one, which was taken right at the beginning of the year. It's the only black and white image in my calendar, and I don't take a lot of black and white images, which is, this one is the one that I'm going to leave in my study to remind me that I'm going to do more black and white photos in 2020. So that's going to be my project in 2020, black and white photography. I'm going to concentrate a little bit more on it. I'm going to go back to my roots. I started in black and white photography in the film days, and I'm going to try and purposely take black and white photos. And this is a good example of what works in black and white. It's very shape-driven, texture-driven image. There's not a lot of colour in it anyway. There's a little bit of colour in the grasses here, but mostly it's a monochromatic image anyway. But it's the texture and the repeating patterns from here, the top of this tin roof, I think it is, and the screes in the background that match together. And I just think it creates such a powerful image because of its simplicity. And that's one of the great things with black and white. If you can just, you know, think about the simplicity of shapes and textures in nature, then that can really help your photography. And black and white photography is a really good way of doing that because it sort of removes that colour which can often complicate a scene. So I'm going to try and concentrate a little bit more on black and white. You'll probably see a few videos purely on black and white photography in 2020. That's my portfolio. Now I want to talk a little bit about a competition. Before I do that, I want to say thanks to Squarespace. They've just been fantastic through 2019. I'm going to be sponsored through into 2020 by Squarespace, and they allow me to go to these locations. So Squarespace, I've used Squarespace now just to put these images on my portfolio. So if you are interested in any of these images I've talked about or the ones behind me, then you can go and have a look at them on my website, nigeldanson.com. You can also sign up to my newsletter there, which is all managed through Squarespace as well. And if you're looking for a website, go to squarespace.com, and you know the deal. If you want 10% off, you can go to /Nigel or use offer code Nigel. Okay, onto the competition. So what I want to do is have a photo competition. So it's got to be a photo that you've taken in 2019, and it's really ideally got to be a photo that you think has represented a step change in your photography, something that has helped you improve your photography or shown that improvement in your photography. And you need to write something in the description on Instagram as well. So post your photo on Instagram, and so I can see them all, then all you've got to do is use hashtag 2019ND, and I'll look at that hashtag and look at all the photos, and in 2 weeks, you've got 2 weeks to post your photo, and in 2 weeks time I'll pick a winner, and the winner will win that photo printed. I'll print it out and send it to you wherever you are in the world. I'll also include one of my photos as well in that print, and I'll also include a review of your 2019 photos. So 6 photos that you've taken in 2019, and I'll do a review online with you for an hour. So that's the prize. Hopefully that's a little bit different than just giving something away like paper or tripods or something. I thought it'd be better to be a little bit more personal to me and you guys. So make sure you enter your photos in the next 2 weeks on Instagram. You've also got to be following me on Instagram and tag them hashtag 2019ND, and I'll have a look at them and choose a winner. Okay, thanks ever so much, and thanks ever so much everybody for all the support in 2019. It's been an absolutely fantastic year for me. I've enjoyed it so much. I've got so much planned in 2020 that I want to talk to you about. I've got so many different projects, and I'll speak a little bit more about that in the next few videos coming up. So until next Sunday, bye. But yeah, I'll just briefly a few of these. I mean, oh no, it's fallen off. That was bound to happen halfway through.